Hello, hello. It's Whitney Wiley, and thanks for joining me for Love Your Work, the place where I have the honor and privilege of talking to people who love their work and they come to share what they do, why they love it, and their journey to getting there with you. Today, I have with me Katrina Booker. She is a speaker and a career coach. Katrina, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the conversation. And
I appreciate you being here. You're very welcome. It is truly an honor to have you here. I have known you for, I don't know, almost going on a year now. I think we met last summer, towards the end of the summer last year. And I've been watching you and the work that you're doing. And so I'm excited that I finally got you to come on and talk with the audience about what it is you do. So why don't we get started there? You are a speaker and a career coach. Why don't you tell us what that means, what it is you do?
okay. So again, thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to it since we scheduled it and trying to arrange in my brain. Okay, how's this going to go? And preparing myself. So yes, I am a speaker slash career coach, helping women to awake from a career coma, so to speak. For the past 2 going on 3 years, I have focused on helping women to become empowered, to get clarity and confidence in whatever it is they want to do next in their careers, which is, career promotion, advancement, transitioning out. We've had to, we've helped some people to transition out of their day-to-day careers because they're, ready to retire, ready to move on, or ready to take on that business that they always wanted to do. So all three of those things wrapped up into one. We do, we operate by assessment. Coming into it, it's who are you, what's your personality, your work profile, your strengths. We don't focus on weaknesses, just your strengths. And then from there, decide what do you want based on your strengths, based on your work profile, the environment that suits you best, that empowers you, motivates you, inspires you. Okay, now we have that down. Now we go after it. What's the career? What's the profession? What's the industry? Who's hiring? Let's apply and build your resume. So it's building building your resume from the things that you've done and getting yourself out there. There's multiple ways to do that too. So that is my major focus. I also do vision strategy sessions, as mostly quarterly. Been a little bit up in the air with the virtual environment,
Okay.
but mostly quarterly because we all have these ideas in our heads. And at best, I am a chief administrative, right? You give me something that you want to do, a goal, and I can help you pull it apart into small pieces and get it done. So I do vision strategy sessions quarterly. I have a group of ladies that kind of move through the program on an annual basis. And we take, your larger goal, break it down into smaller chunks. We pull out those goals, the small steps, and make those small steps turn into larger ones, which, ends up in achievement of whatever your goal is. So that's really what I focus on. I love speaking to women, telling my story and inspiring them to keep on in their careers, especially women of color. Sometimes, especially in a corporate environment or even as a small business owner, it can be a little up and down. And how do we navigate those spaces? So I use my experience to help women who are looking to overcome those struggles as well.
Wow. You talk about helping women find work that they are passionate about, right? So you are speaking my language because that's exactly what I am about, is just helping people understand that you can do work that you love. It may take a little work, figuring out some effort, I should say, to figure out what it is you want to do, who you are. But if you put in that effort, on the other side is the opportunity to do work you love. So why don't you tell us what it is about this that touches you and why you love this work that you're doing?
Because I started my career as the eternal optimist with goals in mind, um, and found along the way there were many things that I just did not know, um, because no one told me and I hadn't experienced it, right? So those two things together. Um, Also, I love my parents. Um, they are my mother and my dad who has passed on. My dad was the hardest working man I've ever known. He could outwork people who were, young men who were half his age. Never gave up, always pushed forward, never complained. My mom is a leader extraordinaire. And even with those qualities, there were just some things that they just didn't know. And so coming into the corporate workspace, I brought along all the things, the lessons that they taught me and the things and I didn't know you had to have an advocate. I just thought you put your head down and you work hard and someone, according to the meritocracy, you'll get there.
Mm,
And the passion, the things that drive me is as I learn, and from my experiences, I just cannot not share. I can't not tell you, I bumped my head here, and this is the lesson that I learned. And so use this information to go and
mhm.
achieve your goals. It is, I don't consider myself to be a teacher per se, but I am a teacher because I love to share. I get joy out of sharing. It makes me smile to share. It helps me to sleep better at night when I can share with others and help them to get to their next level. Leadership is about serving,
Right.
and that is how I serve. That is how I help others to be prepared and achieve. It does us no good to keep the information that we've learned to ourselves. I feel like our experiences are what make us individuals, and our experiences are meant for us to learn and to share with others. So that's my passion because there were lots of things I didn't know. Still learning, of course. Still learning, so I'm still in that corporate space, but definitely want to make sure that those who are in my category and then those who are coming behind me, helping them to learn faster and sooner than I did.
That, that's the true mark of a leader, is someone who is willing to give of themselves. You said serve, to teach, to empower, to help other people grow and be the best they can be, rather than hoarding that information and holding on to it like, I've
Yes,
got this, I'm in this position, and I'll always be here as long
yes,
as you don't
yes,
know this, right?
yes, yes. I'm going to use that. You'll hear that again. Is I'm going to use it. There's no, we can hoard information, and it only serves us. And the humanity in that is lacking in that statement. We're hoarding information. So where's my notes? Where's my pen?
You're not supposed to be taking notes.
Pen.
we're,
Your
we're learning about you, and you sitting here acting like this is you are not taking notes. You'll watch the video. You can play it back. You'll
Yeah,
be able to
exactly.
watch that anytime. So
Exactly.
funny. So let me ask this: was being a speaker and a coach part of the big plan, or was this something that an opportunity that presented itself and you're like, yeah, I could do this?
Oh, that is, I've often thought about how did I like how did I get here? What happened? And so honestly, Whitney, I've been a speaker for quite a while,
Okay.
but not functioning as a speaker for quite a while. So my upbringing is that of I should have found a picture for you. Is that of doing speeches, Easter speeches, at a very early age, and I have some friends who still laugh about the fact that I could not get through a speech without crying when I was little. I'd always cry first, and then I'd get it, stumble and get it out, and then, as I grew up, doing Black History Month, there was always a presentation
Right.
at church. And so, as you grow, your speeches grow, the opportunities come. And so I've been speaking for quite a while, doing youth revivals. And so I come from that background. However, because my mother is a phenomenal speaker and a phenomenal leader, I didn't think I was her, right? So I was like, oh, that's her thing. She's the speaker. And I've always done the administrative part in supporting her over the years. And that was my role.
Okay.
Never step into it. So that's kind of, the path that I've taken. And then a couple of years ago, I found myself at my wit's end because I was like, this is not all there is. This is great. Work was great. The position was great. And my friends are like, you're crazy. What are you complaining about? And I was like, no, I want to do more. There's more than this.
Right.
And so as I grew, I started to share information with others, which turned into, doing lives and then being invited to speak to people. And then I joined the John Maxwell team and became certified as a speaker and a trainer. And so then that led just to more speaking opportunities. And so it's just kind of grown. I've walked into that space that I denied for quite a while, to be honest with you, because I was like, oh, I'm in the background and I can pull all the pieces together and organize it. So just kind of step from behind the curtain, so to speak. And I will say, honestly, that it's speaking in front of crowds, in front of groups, that's been more recent in the past 2 to 3 years. However, it's bled over into my career as well. So I always encourage women, being your true, authentic self, it shines in all areas of your life.
Right.
If you're walking that out, it's who you are holistically, and it shows up holistically. So it goes to speak that, now that I'm, as soon as I started walking in that part of my purpose, it kind of bled over into the organization where I'm employed. So I always encourage women, you're going to see growth in that area once you step out, whether it's in your business or, just for you individually. Others start seeing it and they're like, what's going on here? What is that, a new you? And so once people see, oh, you're operating in something that's really natural for you, people will tend to pull you in that direction. And I encourage women not to push back because they think, oh, it's just one area, I'm going to do this. Now it kind of shows up holistically.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is such a good point. And as you were talking, a couple of things occurred to me. One was an article that I posted today that says that you should have at least, 2 careers. And
Mm-hmm.
the author of the article was doing 4 different things. And the essence of the article, for those of you who haven't read it yet, go ahead and read it. But the essence is that we may not get everything we want or need from any particular endeavor. It's just like relationships, right? You're not going to get everything you need from a girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband, spouse, cousin, sister, or you're never going to get everything you need from just one person. And likewise, you may not get everything you need from one area of work. And so he was advocating, particularly if you have a job that you are, unlike you, I know that a lot of the work that you're doing is part of who you are, and you're just bringing your full self to that work. And then you have your business. When I was working, I was borderline miserable. There was a time when I was absolutely miserable. And then I worked myself to a place where I was just kind of, I'm here. And I think I was in a place that the author of this article is that this job serves a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But I can find something that makes my soul sing over here, and kind of compartmentalizing.
Yes.
And I think if you are not able to, or if one is not able to have work that does that for them, then absolutely you should make sure you're doing something on the side. And I love the way you talked about how you've kind of always been a speaker, and you've probably always been sort of a teacher, right? Even if you didn't call it that, or a coach. And it's just a part of your makeup, and it was going to express itself somehow. So if you are not going to be a professional speaker and a teacher or a coach, it's going to come out in your job. You're going to be a mentor. You're going to be part of the team, that the training team at work, or something that you're doing in church or in the community, because it has to come out of you, because it's not just for you, right? Our gifts are meant to be shared. And so if it's not in your day job, your vocation, find a way to express it elsewhere, because then the love of what you're doing over here bleeds back into what you're doing, and it makes that more than just tolerable. And having been someone who did something that was tolerable for a period of time, I know how important that is. Yeah. So I thank you for sharing that.
I like to say that it's the perfect dough. All of those things come together when you're not functioning in who you truly are. It is the perfect dough or mix for anxiety and burnout.
Yes.
All of those things come together to make this perfect mix of panic, anxiety, burnout, fatigue, and you hit the wall and you're like, what is going, most of the time when it happened to me, I could not have put words to it. But looking back on it, the fact that I was smothering who I am for such a long time, it showed up in an anxiety attack, and several anxiety attacks. And it was that mix of being miserable, not functioning, not being who I am all day, every day as a person, not being comfortable.
Right.
It forms to me this perfect, and I picture it as, dough, like bread dough, that forms into the perfect mix for burnout and anxiety.
That's a really good analogy. And it impacts all the other areas of your life, your relationships, right? Mm-hmm. Your health. And so not acknowledging that, and just kind of, pressing it down, and just like, well, I have a job, right? And it's like, well, I have a job, and you're so much more than that, right? We're all so much more than just what we're doing from 9 to 5. And it's really important. And I love the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing, that is helping people figure this out, right? And you don't have to have all the answers right at the beginning. The goal is just to tap in, and then keep taking steps until you get wherever. And it may not be having your own business. Everyone doesn't want to have their own business. Nope. If there's, if you've got a couple of things that you're doing that allow who you are, the authentic you, as you said, to be expressed, it keeps you from exactly burnout and feeling out of balance and out of whack. And, so those are really important things. Did you, so since this, even though it's been a part of you, it wasn't really part of the plan. When you got your first job,
Mm,
back a little bit, you got
mm,
your first job, let's say the first non-babysitting job,
yes.
what was that job?
Oh, it's funny because the first actual where there's FICA on the
Who's that taking my money?
where that guy shows up, and that shows you how long I've been in the workforce. It said FICA. The very, very first job that I had was at a theme park. It was a Six Flags theme park,
Oh, cool.
Astroworld, here in Houston, and I hated it, Whitney. I hated it so much so
Oh,
that my mom, my mother, she was complaining to one of her friends that I was complaining so much about this job because it was in the kiddie part. Let me explain why. Let me give background. It was in the kiddie part. But the whole thing about working at Astroworld was seeing your friends when they came to the. Well, no one was coming to Disneyland. My friends were teenagers. They weren't coming to Kittyland. And so looking back on it, like that is just completely ridiculous. I was there for about 2 months. My mother was complaining to another friend of hers about how much I was complaining. And her friend was like, I think we have a position available here. And she was employed at an auto dealership, Cadillac Saab auto dealership. She's like, we have something here that she could do. And so that was my second, but it's my second one, but it's the first one that I liked.
okay. Okay. You know, I worked at Disneyland, and I didn't hate it,
Oh,
but it wasn't my favorite. You know, people think working at an amusement park, right? It's all rainbow
no,
and
no.
roller coaster rides and all that, and it's a lot of hard work. And you know, and I would imagine for you, was your job in the summertime?
Yes,
the,
Texas
the, the couple of months that you work was in the sun. That means it's hot and humid and
heat,
it's a little
Texas
miserable on
horrible.
top of being with the kids.
I'm my hair, your hair by the end of the day is just, whatever style, because you're a teenager, style is important. Whatever style I had is drenched in sweat. And I'm like, oh no, this has got to go. I'm too cute for this. It's ridiculous now, but I look back on it and yeah, ridiculous now, but it wasn't then.
No, those jobs are important. Having work that you don't like
Mhm.
is as important as having work that you do like, because it teaches you about yourself. You get to learn some things that you don't want moving forward, right? So one of the things it taught you, I don't want to be working in kitty land. I don't want to work with kids all day. And what I
Yes.
learned was I did want to be in food service, right? So that was my job at Disneyland. The first, I had two roles there, and it was the costumes that was the other part of that. So the first role, I worked in, I don't know, some restaurant that served burgers. It was like McDonald's at Disneyland.
Mhm.
And then the second one was a place called the Mile Long Bar. I didn't mind it so much. We only served two things: applesauce and giant pretzels.
Mm.
But and it was a real ebb and flow. It was like in the furthest corner, back corner of the park, and people only came there by mistake.
But I like kitty
Or
land sometimes.
they came by mistake, or there was an attraction that the exit came by the Mile Long Bar. So people came off that attraction and they funneled past. They would stop and get their applesauce and, I mean, apple juice. But the thing was, I don't know if they have this at Disney World or if you've been to Disneyland. And I don't think Mile Long Bar is there anymore, but it was this long, just a bar
The bar.
And at each end was a mirror. So when you looked in the mirror, it looked like it went on for miles. I guess that was the name.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to wear a cummerbund and fishnet stockings. So it was like the second cutest costume in the park. So so that was my favorite part, but they fired me. So it doesn't.
Things not to do.
Oh my God. Oh geez. Yeah. Those early days.
Yes.
What did you study in school?
So my bachelor's degree is in criminal justice. I had all the intent and purpose to go on from that degree into law school. So I started out at Sam Houston State is a criminal justice major with a minor in Spanish. And
Well, hola.
¿Cómo estás? ¿Está bien?
Muy bien, gracias. That's all I got. That's all I got. Stop.
So funny thing, this is how sometimes your parents are right. My elementary school had a Spanish immersion. And so every day for about 20 minutes, we had Spanish lesson. And so after I left elementary school, my mother was like, okay, you're going to continue. And I was like, no, thank you. I'm good. And she's like, no, you're going to continue. So all through middle school, I took Spanish, right? Every year, Spanish 1, 2, and 3. So I get to high school and I'm like, okay, done. She's like, no, you're going to continue. And so I ended up going to a high school that I really wanted to go to, but you had to test in to the school. And I tested in because I knew Spanish very well. And so sometimes you should listen to, I said that to say, sometimes you should listen to your parents. So then when I got to college, it was a no-brainer. Like you can take 4 more years of Spanish and minor in it, right? So it was a no-brainer at that point, but those years in between elementary and college, it was a battle. She probably has scars now.
And do you thank her? Gracias, mama. Gracias.
Yes, I do. I tell her thank you now to make up for the scars and bruises along the way.
For fighting her all that time.
Yeah, my first degree is in criminal justice, and then of course that led to right after school, I got hired by the Harris County Sheriff's Department, and I worked for them for a couple of years right out of college based on that degree and my plans to go to law school after that. I quickly learned on accident, but quickly learned that they just didn't pay enough money, and I wasn't going to stay there. So I should get out of there. And I gave myself an ultimatum. I took the Kaplan for the LSAT and the GMAT. And I said, okay, whichever one I score higher percentile, it's MBA or it's a law degree. And so percentile wise, I wouldn't do this again. Let me advise not to do this. But I was young, and that was my ultimatum to myself at the moment. Tested higher in the GMAT, so I went to school and got my MBA, which was not a bad choice. However, right now, I'm still trying to figure out how I can get to law school, which is crazy because that's really what I wanted to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so now sometimes I look at my husband and I go, what would you do if I just applied and went? And he's like, just, at this point, he's like, just go already, please.
Just go. I'm sure there are law schools you could do online. So
yes, I need to have looked into it in a couple of years, but there at this point he's just giving in, and he's like, just okay, just go.
I agree with him. You should just go. If it's still burning inside of you to do that, you should.
And I think it's one of those why my passion is my passion, because it's one of the mistakes that I made, and I don't want those who are coming along or just getting started, or anyone even in my space they're along the same number of years or through their career, whatever it is you want to do, just please just do it. And don't cut yourself short, because that desire, if it's authentic, will still be there over time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things I always say to people when they're weighing whether or not to do something, particularly if it's been a desire that's been there for a while, it's like if you're alive 2 years from now, 4 years from now, or however long it'll take to get, if you're alive,
Mhm.
then the time will have passed anyway.
Well,
So you might as well, right? You might as well do what you want to do, because waiting doesn't give you anything. It doesn't
no.
give you anything. And we are in such a blessed time, I think, with education, and probably now because of Corona, probably even more so, that you can do your education the way you want. You can do it on your terms. And if it's not time to, like, chuck everything and just go full time, take a class at a time, right? You can make it work for you, is the bottom line. So not that you asked, this show is not about advice from Whitney, but do it. So,
I brought it up. And I
fair
would,
game, fair game.
I'm going to co-sign on what you said about the environment that we're in now. Not that the virtual environment did not exist prior to coronavirus. It exists. Um, it is different now. It's much broader and much wider, and I think we have to take advantage of this moment, and not this moment. I think this is just going to be it is the new normal. There will be more options for getting done whatever it is you want to get done, and to take advantage of it. It's scary. Some of it's new. You've never done it before, but take advantage of this now, because to your point, this is going to be it for the next 2-4 years. So just, you can go ahead and start now, because I don't think it's going to go back to what we had before.
Right,
I just don't.
right. And that's a good point. Just, it's opportunities, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's different, but
Yeah.
different is just opportunities. And
Yeah.
so if there's something that you've been wanting, just take a step towards it, whatever that is. A big step, a small step, just take a step. So we have covered the beginning of your career, your current career, sort of in the middle of your career, why this career. If you've actually shared some good nuggets, some lessons learned, but I want to ask what you feel is like the best lesson that you've learned throughout your different experiences that you would like to share with our audience.
Oh, wow. Um, be who you are. Um, not not who your parents expect for you to be, or want you to be. Not waiting for your friends. Not who your boss is comfortable with you being.
Mm.
Not any of those things. Um, be exactly who you are. And if you are amazing, if your strength is, my top, I took strength finders a couple of years ago, and my strength is analysis. That's like my top, the ability to analyze things. That is who I am. And I think I wish I'd known that earlier in my career, right? And then I would have focused on that all the way through. The task piece, it gets me. That time allotted task, it kills my spirit. It's just not who I am.
Right.
And so my greatest piece of advice is be who you are. Don't focus on your weaknesses. We all have them. And sometimes our superiors focus on the thing that we're not doing well, and they want you to improve in that area. Well, there's a reason that I don't do those things well, because I'm not good at that. And I just probably, no matter how much I focus on it, it's just going to make it more blaring that I'm not good at that. That's not my strength. Focus on your strengths. Be exactly who you are and work to find the industry and the profession that works well with who you are. I always say, and you said it earlier, we are not all entrepreneurs. We are not all small business owners. I joke, but it's real. It's real. My aunt and my mother bred me. They formed me to be corporate, right? That was just what they gave me. Corporate, in the corporate life, corporate culture. And so stepping out to be an entrepreneur, which is a part of me and part of who my dad was, it took me a while to make that decision. Even though I'm comfortable in it, I like it, I like having that freedom. It just wasn't what they gave me in the package of grow up and do these things. So I could go on forever with things that I've learned along the way. But the most impactful one for me is being exactly who, if you are a cheery person all the time and you bring people together well, and that is who you are, then find at your organization, find that role that is cheery, bubbly, upbeat, that's most likely a sales or front facing. Be that person. I'm not the sales girl. I'm the one in the back. I am either crunching numbers, I'm putting the project together for whatever you're going to do next or something like that. But, if that's who you are, find the role, the organization that fits that. But yeah, my best piece of advice is be exactly who you are. And if they can't deal with that, don't be afraid to go somewhere else. There where you can be exactly who you are.
That is such great advice. And it goes back to your earlier comment about burnout and stress, because if you are not who you are, if you can't be who you are at work, where you're spending a third of your time, if you can't be who you are in your relationships, if you your life is going to be negatively impacted by that. And so it's vitally important to know who you are, which is why I love where you start, is figure out who you are, figure out what your strengths are, figure out your passion, figure out those things so that you can feed that, hone that, and use that to move who you are authentically through this world. And if we had people doing that, the way our cultures would change in organizations, right? Some of the things that are the result of people showing up in angst, in being stressed out, would all go away. So I'm not sure if we've lost you, Katrina. You are frozen on my screen. So I'm just going to wrap up. And I want to thank you for joining Katrina and I. She had a lot of good nuggets. The top amongst them is to know who you are, be who you are, and navigate your work that way. Love what you do. And if you need help figuring any of this out, I will have Katrina's contact information in the post, and feel free, if you think Katrina can help you with any of part of your work journey, women, because she works with women, give her a call. So thank you very much for joining us for Love Your Work. And until next time, take care.